What is up, guys? Welcome to the Edge DFS. We are talking showdown, Cowboys at the Vikings. I think it's obvious what we're going to be talking a lot about here. We're going to be talking about Dak Prescott. There's a lot of conflicting reports. Do we really know what's going to happen? No, we don't. If I had to lean one way, I'd say he's probably not going to play, and it would probably be stupid for them to play him at this point. We saw what happened last year with Dak out. It was an absolute disaster. So, Ellie, just right off the bat, what are your thoughts on, do you think he's going to play or do you think he's not going to play? Are you leaning one way or the other?
I'm leaning towards the not playing. But granted, our analysis of what's going to happen here is just completely bullshit.
Yeah.
Because, Mike McCarthy's going to do whatever the hell he wants.
Yeah.
But for the purposes of our show, I think it's important to know just Cowboys are 5-1 in the NFC East. Nobody else is better than 2-5.
Yeah.
If you're going to take a week off, take advantage of the bye week, right? Like give Dak a day off, and it's all of a sudden it turns into a 2.5 week opportunity to get better.
Yeah.
We know Cowboys sucks. I'm gonna censor myself. We know that the Cowboys suck pretty bad when Dak Prescott's not in there. But going one game, I think we're going to talk about it a little bit when we get to the quarterbacks. You said that Charlie Rush, Cooper Rush. Yeah. Anyways, he's been taking some of the snaps here at quarterback. So I definitely think during the bye. So I definitely think that there's some opportunity here to do okay. And
the only people that really know what's going to happen is Dak and the higher ups on the Cowboys. I don't care what reports we see. We're just not going to know until right before what happened. What did we miss here?
Michael Pittman scored another touchdown.
Oh, look at that already.
So I had to pull Calvin Ridley out of my fantasy lineups because he was cold this week, right? Or he's out, so I jammed in Michael Pittman last second.
That worked for you. So look, bottom line here is, in my opinion, I think the Cowboys can win this game either way, without Dak or with Dak.
Yeah.
And we're gonna treat it. We're gonna treat it both ways here. It's pretty simple. If Dak plays, huge boost to the wide receivers. The total goes up. It was at like 55 yesterday. It's down to like a 51.5. I think the total goes up. There's more fantasy points to go around. If Dak sits, Cooper Rush is a lock at 6K. You're talking about a $6,000 player. He's a quarterback. Even if you median project him at like 12 fantasy points, look around. Look around at the other players around that salary. No one's even close to that. And a low, crappy game for a quarterback around 12 fantasy points, he's still gonna hit your value there. So I don't think you have to overthink it at all. I think you play him, and it allows you to get a lot of the other studs by just jamming him in. I think you're helping your floor and you're helping your ceiling. So anyways, I guess let's just get right into it. All right. So here's the current, and although, by the way, guys, we did this, we recorded the show on Sunday as late as we possibly could here so that we can have the most up-to-date news on this Dak stuff, but no one's going to know, I don't think, until we get right down to lock. So I'll obviously keep an eye on that. So Dallas is in Minnesota, in the Dome. Don't have to worry about weather. Minnesota is a slight favorite. The total is at 51.5, still a high total. And I think if Cooper Rush is confirmed as the starter, that total will go down a little bit. And obviously this ownership doesn't mean a whole lot right now, in my opinion, because if Cooper Rush is in, I don't know how it works. I don't know. What do you think Rush's ownership? Do you think people will be scared of him? Or do you think that he'll be 60-70% owned across the board just because he's just too obvious of a play?
Honestly, I'm ready for both scenarios. If he's too low owned, I'm gonna have a whole shitload of him. If he's very chalky, then I think you can just double the field on Ezekiel Elliott. So honestly, I think this is a great piece of news to be working with because it's just too easy. I do think he's going to come in close to 50-55%, and honestly, I think that's about where he should be at. Maybe even 60 at 6K. But if he comes closer to 70, 80, then I have no problem keeping him at 40 and just getting a whole bunch of Zeke. So I just think it sets up nicely for however we want to build.
And I think that is another great thing to bring up is if Rush starts, I think that Zeke and Pollard Zeke specifically get a huge boost. And I think the receivers take a little bit of a hit. If Dak starts, I'm going to go heavy on Amari Cooper at captain, I think, because of his price tag. He's a little bit low. But I still think that these wide receivers are viable with Cooper Rush because, like I said, if you watched any of Hard Knocks, you saw that Dak wasn't getting the reps in training camp because of that shoulder injury. And they had a bye week. They had 2 weeks to get Cooper Rush up to date and up to speed on everything. Build some, build up with his receivers, get some practice time in. I don't think this is a normal situation where we see a Ben DiNucci thrown in at the last minute because, I don't think it's like that. I don't know we haven't seen how good Cooper Rush is. I don't know how good he is, but at a bare minimum, he's had enough time to prepare, and he's an NFL quarterback. He's good enough to, at least if he has time, to probably have a pretty decent game. $6,000, I'm not scared of him at all. I might lock him in. Yeah. I might put him at captain too, because you can get a lot of other guys in there.
We played worse people for similar pricing.
Yeah.
I mean, Tyson Williams is still 6,800, and he was only going to get 20 to 25% of the touches, maximum 70.
Yeah.
Right. And we still played him.
Yeah.
So if he starts, he's going to touch the ball on every snap.
All right, so let's get into injuries. Obviously, we talked about Dak. That's the biggest news here. That affects everything. Michael Gallup is still going to be an IR. He's not going to play this week. Irv Smith is still out. There's really not a whole lot of guys to talk about here, although Tyron Smith is back, right? The tackle for the Cowboys. He's questionable technically, but I think it's been reported that he will play. So that's huge. That's pretty good news, especially if Cooper Rush is in. He's going to have a little bit more time to throw the ball. He's not going to be under pressure as much. So that's pretty big news. I don't think there's any other injury news to really talk about. The D.D. Westbrook is actually questionable. Not that I'm going to really play a lot of him, but he's $800. You just need a couple receptions, maybe a random touchdown from him to pay off at $800. So worth mentioning. So anything else? Are you seeing anything else on your end, injury-wise?
Nothing worth noting. I do want to say that keeping an eye on Tyron Smith is going to be incredibly important, especially if Cooper Rush does play.
Yeah.
He's their best tackle.
All right, let's get in the breakdown. Break it down. All right, so obviously Dak Prescott's 11.2K. No surprise here. Just play him if he. Well, look. Actually, let's talk about this real quick. It's easy to just say, yeah, play him. He's good. But if Dak Prescott comes out and they try to force him in and he starts the game, I'm not confident that he doesn't re-aggravate his calf or they don't pull him after a few drives. I mean, I can't guarantee that he's going to play the whole game. So that scares me. Even if he does get that start, I'm a little bit weary to go heavy on him. I don't know. Do you agree with me on that? I know we kind of talked about play him in the opening, but now that I think about it more, I don't know, man. He could just get pulled after 2 or 3 drives.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think you kind of got to go with your gut here. Calf injury, given where he hurt himself last year, it's definitely something to be a little concerned about. But I think Dak's at a point in his career that if he's ready to play, he's going to go out and play. You know what I mean? Like it's just so hard to fit. And look at these numbers, right? I don't think he's putting up 8 points again. I mean, they still won that game, but I just don't think it's going to happen. There's too much talent on that team for him to not hit 15 points, even if he is limited.
Yeah.
And on a showdown slate, that's scary. And I would kind of set the bar there. If you think he's going to be under 15 points, you're okay fading him. But I just don't know. At that price tag, I mean, it's still working out for me. I'm going to probably play Dak Prescott if he plays. Unless his ownership comes in like 70, 80% like Cooper, then, I might fade him a little bit, but it's just, there's too much offensive firepower. He could accidentally complete a pass to CeeDee Lamb that's an 80-yard touchdown.
Yeah. And
all of a sudden he's back in the optimal, right? So like, it's just too worrisome for me. And I think the next guy is the guy that's going to be a little bit easier to fade for me.
If he's announced that he's in, I'm gonna try to see. I'm gonna watch him in warm-ups and see if he's doing his little hip dance. Let's see how he's really doing. Because look, if he does play, he's gonna be 60-70% owned, and I think you can get some huge leverage on a guy that high owned who is hurt and a game time decision.
Yep.
I'm gonna feel it out. I'm gonna feel it out. Hit us up on Twitter. I'll be in the comments of this YouTube video posting some updates. Join the Discord if you guys want to talk about things. But I think I'm gonna wait it out. But I'm leaning towards, if Dak plays, to fade him, because I just, at that price tag, it changes your whole roster construction. You know what I mean? So Kirk Cousins, 10.8K. I don't know why he's priced $400 cheaper than Kirk Cousins. Maybe DraftKings knew about the injury and wanted to tempt us into it. I don't know. But Kirk Cousins at 10.8K. Look, he hasn't done bad. They're 3-3. They're not really lighting the world on fire. Yeah, he has some good games, but he also has a few stinkers. I don't know. I'm not a Kirk Cousins hater. I think Kirk Cousins is a solid NFL quarterback. I like him. I just don't have a ton of faith in the Vikings to be consistent. So what are your thoughts on Kirk Cousins? Do you have to play Kirk Cousins? If Dak is out, do you have to have Kirk Cousins in your lineup, or can you just go with Cooper Rush?
I mean, so again, if Dak is out, I still think that gives a boost to both running games more. I think it gives the Vikings more incentive to run. And I think you can kind of prioritize Dalvin Cook at that point. If Dak plays, I think that actually gives Kirk a little bit more of a boost, because I expect this game to be more competitive, or where Kirk's going to have to, keep him in the game. So I think Dak gets, or Kirk gets his biggest boost if Dak plays. Otherwise, man, I'm prioritizing Dalvin Cook and maybe Justin Jefferson, which is another matchup that scares me a bit. But yeah. I just not a big fan of Kirk Cousins. He's been doing okay this season, but you take away a couple, a touchdown here or two in overtime, all of a sudden he may not be in the optimal for showdown. And Dallas defense is porous against the run, as is the Vikings. So there's just better matchups that I prefer to take advantage of. Now, if Kirk Cousins comes in at 35% ownership, I'm probably going to double the field.
It's more likely, if Dak plays, this is a shootout back and forth. If Dak sits, maybe it's a slower pace game. There's more running involved. I think the run defense, or the run offense, gets a huge boost on both sides. I agree with what you said. Don't be afraid of Cooper Rush if he starts. Do not be afraid. I don't care if you've never heard of him before. I don't care if you think he's Cooper Kupp, whatever he play him. 6K on a showdown. This is like on NBA. Giannis is ruled out, and somebody at 3,200 starts. Like just play him. Right. You can't go wrong in most cases, unless the dude breaks his leg or something in the first quarter.
Well, I mean, even last night, dude, Dwayne Dedman, he had 4 fouls in the first 2 minutes and ended up in the optimal lineup. So you get value like this, you just got to play it.
All right, let's go to running back here. Let's start with Dallas. So Zeke is at 9,200. That's way too low for him. Tony Pollard's at 5,400. I like Tony Pollard's price. Back when he was in the 7Ks, I didn't like his price. I do think that Tony Pollard is a good option if Rush plays, because Tony Pollard can be the passing game. He can catch a couple. They're going to want to set Cooper Rush up for success right off the bat in that first drive. They're going to have a few dump off passes to Zeke and Pollard, probably a couple screen passes. They're going to want to get his confidence up. So these running backs get a huge boost, in my opinion. And in addition to, look at that defense first position, 31st for the Vikings defense. Pollard, I'm okay with. If Dak starts, I'm lower on Pollard. I might fade him a little bit more. But either way, I think Zeke is the guy here. I'm going to go heavy on Zeke at 9,200. Spoiler alert, I'm going to have a lot of him in the captain as well. So thoughts here, are you interested in Pollard, and is it you just gotta plug in Zeke in either situation, whoever's the quarterback, right?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think I'm comfortable with having probably one of Zeke or Tony Pollard in most all of my lineups.
Yeah.
If Dak is out, I'll probably have like 80 to 90% Ezekiel Elliott. I mean, it's too hard for him not to get love. And in fact, with Dak is out, I'll probably have a pretty decent amount of Zeke and Tony Pollard and Dalvin Cook. It's going to be a really weird construction night if, Charlie Batch or whatever his name ends up playing quarterback. So I just, I think all these running backs are definitely in prime positions. Both defenses are just garbage against the run. Yeah. And I understand it's probably because Actually, I have no idea. I have no idea why they're so bad at it. They just suck against the run. And Dallas has gotten a little bit better. They've got some pretty young linebackers, but I don't know if they're going to be able to stop a guy like Dalvin Cook and vice versa. Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard's a pretty physical and fast 1-2 punch. So you kind of just got to figure it out. But I'll have a lot of the three regardless of who ends up playing. But I'll get a massive bump and more likely to handcuff Zeke and Tony Pollard if Dak is out.
Yeah, if Dak is out, Zeke is a good cash captain as well as tournament captain. I really think so. All right, so let's move over to the other side. Let's move over to Minnesota. There's not a whole lot to talk about here. I think a lot of people like Alexander Mattison. His price tag's at $1,400. We've seen him have success in the past, but we have not seen him had a lot of success or opportunity with Dalvin Cook. If you think Dalvin Cook can get injured in this game, which I don't know why you're planning on that, but I do think it's something to think about in a showdown slate. We've seen Dalvin Cook get injured quite a bit. If you think there's a chance that could happen, maybe Alexander Mattison gets a slight boost, but $9,400 for Dalvin Cook is way too low for him. I think you got to have. I really think Dalvin Cook and Zeke in the same lineup across the board, whether they're at captain or in the flex. I think it's just a smart core, and I think you can't overthink it. Alexander Mattison to me might be the biggest fade. I know he's $1,400. I know it doesn't take a whole lot for him to pay off. All it takes is a 3rd and 15 draw play that he gets 25, 30 yards on, and then maybe a couple receptions out of the backfield. That's all it takes for him to pay off potentially. But with all the scoring in this game, you're going to need a little bit more than 7-8 points from a $1,400 guy. I think if it is really going to be like a 50 plus or 55 plus total, you can't just have a couple carries. And Alexander Madison's just not going to get enough volume in this game. I think I'm going to fade him across the board because I think his ownership might be upwards of like around 20%. I just don't think that is worth it. I don't know. Am I overthinking this? What do you think about Alexander Mattison?
Yeah, I think he's okay to play 10, 20% in your lineups. Just as a last piece, he's not going to be my primary value guy. I think there's going to be some other opportunities that open here. And honestly, I don't know if we're even going to need to dip that low. Because we'll probably build both ways. I think we're leaning closer to Dak being out, but that salary we're saving there might be enough to where we don't even have to risk going to a $1,400 Alexander Mattison. Yeah. And to your point, people are a little higher than him than they should be. I don't know. He's kind of about 10% on roto grinders, but we'll see what happens if they, as we get closer to lock. Again, I expect his ownership to jack up a little bit here if Dak goes out, right? A lot of people have Cook, Madison stacked, handcuffed. Or I would expect it to be. But right now, man, I don't have much interest in him. I understand that his projection is his median production, but that's inflated because he has 2 starts this season with Dalvin Cook out, right? Exactly. If you look at the games where Dalvin Cook's in, his ceiling is 3.8.
He's dog shit.
Or it has been so far.
It's been dog shit.
That's not even – I can go get 3.8. Like, I'm just going to randomly look at a guy down at $200. Chris Herndon, $600 tight end.
I'd rather get Chris Herndon all day.
Yeah, he could easily score a touchdown. Dude, even CJ Ham at $400 could get a goal line carry or a goal line play action. Like, I would still rather play those guys.
I'll have more Herndon, more CJ Ham than I will Alexander Mattison. Yeah, I know I'm overthinking it a little bit, but I just don't think that he's going to have the volume. And look, if you think differently than me, then I don't think there's anything wrong with getting 20% of him because he's so cheap. But his median projections coming in around 6 or 7 points. I just don't see it happening. I think that's more of a ceiling, I really do. Yeah. And just crunching with him earlier today, he's in 80% of my lineups across 200 lineups, just with a generic crunch. So his ownership's going to be inflated
because of that. Yeah, that price tag and then that median projection, he's just going to get forced in whoever's using an optimizer.
So I don't dislike Madison, but just seeing his ownership and seeing how much he's being jammed in, I don't think there's any reason for it. I'd rather go with somebody else. So wide receivers for Minnesota, Justin Jefferson's at $10K, Adam Thielen's at $8,400, KJ Osborne is at $5K, and then you got D.D. Westbrook, who's questionable at $800. So how do we solve this Jefferson Thielen thing? And can you get Jefferson Thielen and Cousins in a lineup together? Would you be cool with that?
Yeah, I'm cool with that. Just based off of what I'm seeing from initial glances here, though, Adam Thielen is going to immediately get a boost over Justin Jefferson for me. Looks like he's coming in about half the ownership,
Yeah, yeah,
$1,600 less, and he has a much better matchup. Trayvon Diggs is going to be on Justin Jefferson. Trayvon Diggs is the best corner in the NFL right now, and it's probably the only good part of the Cowboys defense. And I'm probably over exaggerating that a little bit because I hate the fucking Cowboys. Sorry for the language, but like I just hate the Cowboys. So
yeah,
look, Trayvon Diggs, I think he's from Alabama. Just while we're at it, but he's going to be on Justin Jefferson. We all know Adam Thielen's a baller, and he can go out there and get you the points that you need. And honestly, just based on his ownership projection, I don't hate him at captain either. I look at his targets last week. I mean, if you take away his game versus Detroit, which I mean, I don't know why you would need to target or throw the ball in that game. You got Dalvin Cook.
Yeah.
But he hasn't had a game less than 8 targets.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, 29 fantasy points, 6, 7.6, 17, 16, 30. Like that's enough for me. I'm fine. I like Adam Thielen a lot. I'm going to prioritize Adam and Justin Jefferson, by the way. I will not have much of KJ Osborne. 5K is way too much. But D.D. Westbrook, if he's active, I don't mind throwing him in a couple random lineups.
Yeah.
He's probably the fastest player on the field.
Yeah, I think KJ Osborne is interesting. We've seen his upside. We've seen a 14, a 20, and a 19-point game. That's pretty good. I think his price tag has been consistently around, 4,000 to 5,000 or high 5,000. So he's actually down from last week at 5,800 to 5,000 this week. I think you just go with the field or slightly above. He's probably going to be 20, 25% owned. I don't have a problem throwing him in. And I actually don't have a problem putting him at captain in a few more lineups than I would have him in the flex, because we've seen him go off to the tune of 20 fantasy points. And at $5,000, you might be able to really get a lot of guys in the flex that you want. You might be able to get all the wide receivers and Dak. If Dak plays, maybe I'll do a couple more KJ Osborne captains just in case. All right.
Yeah, I agree with that analysis, actually. Real quick, I want to hang on that thought for a second here.
Yeah.
If Dak plays, again, I think it's a boost to obviously Dallas, but I think it's a boost to the Minnesota passing game.
Yeah,
they're going to need to open up the playbook a little bit more and get these guys involved. So I think, to your point, KJ Osborne becomes a lot more interesting if Dak's playing.
I totally agree.
Weird analysis.
No, but it's true though. I mean, it's just the whole concept of stacking. It's the same. It's very similar. On a main slate, you put 1 or 2 wide receivers with your quarterback, and you run it back with another wide receiver because they're going to have to throw the ball if it's a high scoring game. So let's go to the other side. CeeDee Lamb is 9,800. Amari Cooper's at 7K. So look, if Cooper Rush plays, I actually have more faith that Amari Cooper can have a better game with Cooper Rush.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. There maybe is a little bit of chemistry there. I'm probably just pulling something out of my ass here, but I just think that Amari Cooper at 7K is just way too low, and I think these guys have been priced down a little bit just simply because of the Dak injury. We've known about his injury for the last week. Draftkings knows it as well, so they priced him down a little bit to make it a little more interesting. Amari Cooper at 7K is a great captain option with or without Dak. And CeeDee Lamb is obviously always a big play guy. But, I mean, look at that. 39 points last week, 18 points. You do get a couple 3 points, here and there. You get a 9-point. He has a high floor for the most part. And with Amari Cooper, hasn't done a whole lot this year. He hasn't really done a whole lot this year, but we know what he's capable of. I don't know if he's just slowing down, but I have a lot of faith in Cooper, especially with his ownership being, around 30% or something to that effect. Cedric Wilson at 4K, you always got to consider him. Noah Brown at 1,000, you got to consider 1 or 2 lineups with him. So what are your overall thoughts here, ranking-wise, based on salary? Who do you like here the most?
Amari Cooper. 7K is just too cheap. I don't care what kind of season he's having. He needs to be closer, like 8,500 at all times.
Yeah.
He could just absolutely annihilate the slate at this salary.
Yeah.
And then just the initial ownership projections that I'm getting here are dumb as hell. Like there's no reason he should be under 40% owned. And I'm seeing him well underneath that. To me, I'm just not even going to think about it. That makes him my most clear and obvious play of the day. And if he goes out and gets 2 receptions for 20 yards, I'll be happy with it, right? You're not going to get many times to play a guy like as talented as Amari Cooper in a better matchup at this low ownership and this pricing. Like it's
Agree.
just, it's just, don't overthink it. If you lose, you lose. And then obviously CeeDee Lamb's the number 2 guy, and then Cedric Wilson. Those will be the only 3 wide receivers in my player pool for the Cowboys, and all are viable. Cedric Wilson is definitely interesting, especially at 4K. I'd play him over the kickers.
Yeah.
And he could easily split the middle and end up with a touchdown receiving. He can easily get some action in the end arounds and things like that. So he's a little gadget guy. I love gadget guys.
All right, so if you look at on the season the snaps for CeeDee Lamb and Cooper, they're right around the same amount, 81% to 83% for CeeDee Lamb. Like week 6, they both ran around 44 routes. Obviously, it looks like CeeDee Lamb's getting more of the targets, but with the new quarterback in, that's kind of thrown out the window when it comes to targets. We don't know who's going to be the favorite. We don't know who they game planned. We don't know the chemistry. I think Cooper at almost $3,000 cheaper is just an obvious choice. I'm not going to have like a little bit of CeeDee Lamb. I'll have a good amount, but I'm going to have more Amari Cooper, no doubt. All right, so tight ends here, we've got Dalton Schultz, who's came on big this year. He's at 6,600. Blake Jarwin's at 2K, and Jeremy Sprinkle is at 200. So Dalton Schultz is getting a lot of hype. I understand it. He's had a good season. And if you look at these numbers. It's pretty good. It's pretty good this year. His ceiling isn't huge, but if you look at the targets, I liked seeing those targets. But like I said, if Cooper Rush is starting, you would think that the tight ends would get a boost because we love our tight ends. I just don't know at 6,600. I don't know if I love Dalton Schultz this week. So thoughts, Mr. Tight End over here. What are your thoughts?
Honestly, I'm still kind of undecided about what direction I'm going to go here. The first thing that sticks out to me at the tight ends, and I know it's not the guy you're talking about, is Blake Jarwin, though, at 2K. I don't mind him at all. His lowest output this season is 3.4. Everything else has been 5 or more points. Now, I know it's a little bit more risky, but again, I just don't know what salary we need to save if we're building with Rush at quarterback. If we still have the ability to pay for Dalton Schultz, I will, but it's just going to be too much easier to go up to Amari Cooper for $400 more. I don't know how you can prioritize anybody but Amari Cooper at that price tag. It's just too hard to get to some of these other guys. That doesn't mean I don't hate Dalton Schultz. In fact, I still think that he's an excellent captain choice in a couple random lineups, but Amari Cooper, 7K, just too hard for me to get away from him.
Yeah, well, there it is. There's, tight ends at captain. That's you. I think that these guys are going to be kind of forgotten about because let's just talk about this. If let's just say that Dak is out. I mean, look, even if he's in, we're going to want the quarterback for the Cowboys. We're going to want Zeke or Pollard, and we're going to want one of the wide receivers. That's 3 guys. So then you can throw in Dalton Schultz, but maybe you want to get 2 wide receivers. It's just going to be hard to fit them in because you have 3 guys that you want to get in no matter what from the Cowboys. So that's automatically going to drop his ownership. If his ownership is under 20%, I might actually prioritize him a little more. It just all depends. Keep an eye on the ownership as we get closer to lock, obviously. All right, so let's go to Minnesota side. Obviously, we've had some injuries here. Irv Smith is out for the year. He was looking good, but now Tyler Conklin has been looking pretty good at tight end. Also, Chris Herndon, former Jet, he had a touchdown last week, and he's $600. So Tyler Conklin at 44, I kind of like Tyler Conklin a little bit more than Schultz at that price tag. You're getting some decent targets from him. He has a decent ceiling for that price tag. I don't know. What are your thoughts here? I mean, Herndon at 600 is very tempting to me because we know that Herndon's a good tight end. Like we've seen him do well. We just seen him deal with a lot of injury.
So I'm right there with you, man. I think both guys are in play. Again, I think the important piece is when we get to building, if we're using Rush and kind of under the presupposition that Dak is out, like I don't know if we really need to dip down as low as Chris Herndon.
Yeah.
But Tyler Conklin, he's under 20% projected, 4,400. Again, I'd still probably have more interest in playing him over a kicker or defense.
Definitely.
than not. So I definitely think that these guys are both in play. I love tight ends, especially when you've got you know, inconsistent quarterbacks, right? Like Kirk Cousins may need a rhythm, and that may be why they've got Tyler Conklin in here. I mean, his targets are pretty interesting. Outside of the Detroit game, which again, I don't know why anyone needs to get too crazy against Detroit. He's had pretty much 5 targets or more other than weeks 1 and 2. So
yeah,
I think that he's a fine play at that price tag.
I agree. And I think Herndon, he hasn't really done, he played last week, but he hasn't really been involved. So maybe he's getting more comfortable with the system. Maybe Kirk Cousins is starting to like him a little more. Maybe he gets a little bit more play this week because he scored a touchdown last week. He's maybe getting into the system more. I think him at 3% ownership and 600, he's my low-owned guy that I think can break out this week. All right, so we're moving to kickers. So Greg Zuerlein, Greg the Legs, 3,800. Greg Joseph, 3,600. That's our typical synopsis when it comes to kickers. I'm going to be under the field. Although if Cooper Rush starts, maybe Zuerlein gets a little bit of a boost for me. What are your thoughts? There's not a whole lot to talk about here. Their kickers, get 10, 15% of them and then move on, right?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I can't play Greg Joseph. I just by law, by code of conduct, I don't know what it is. I can't play Minnesota Vikings kickers. Yeah, it's just, I mean, that's probably where I might have 5 to 10% of them at best. But yeah, there's no reason I'm going to be prioritizing that. Greg the Leg, I think honestly does get a boost if Cooper Kupp or the Dallas Rush, whatever they're called, is playing quarterback. But again, that's dependent upon probably Ezekiel Elliott doing all right and then kind of stalling out on the other side of the 50. So again, you're running into weird territory kind of trying to project the kickers, especially when you have a backup quarterback in, because who knows, he could just completely suck the whole night and they not move the ball on the other side of the field. So that automatically impacts Greg the Leg. But either way, there's better value. If I land on one of these guys, because that's the last piece I have left, I'm not going to cry about it, but I'm not going to be targeting them.
We've said it. We say it all the time when we're talking about kickers, is especially this year and every year following. It's gonna these coaches are gonna rely more on analytics. They're gonna go for it more on 4th down. When you're past the 40-yard line or 30-yard line, sometimes these kickers are just going to get less opportunity. And I'm not going to let a kicker I'm not going to lose because of a kicker. I'd rather have a kicker beat me. If Greg Zuerlein shows up and scores 15 fantasy points, whatever. Like I like that's fine. But I'm not going to put Greg Zuerlein in 35% of my lineups and have him kick 1 field goal. I'm not going to do it. Not going to do it. Defense: Cowboys 3,200, Vikings 2,600. If Cooper Kupp starts at quarterback, the Vikings defense, I think, gets a huge boost, at least ownership-wise. I don't think there's going to be – I'm not touching any of these defenses. I don't care who's starting. I don't care if Ben DiNucci's starting for the Cowboys. I'm just not going to touch the Vikings defense. That's just me. Thoughts?
Yeah, the only thing I have to say to them is next. Like, we can just move on past this subject. I have no interest in playing either of these guys. Especially – I mean, dude, I get that the line totals moved down, but it's still the highest total on the day. Like, why would you do that? There's no reason.
The defenses just aren't anything to talk about. I think it doesn't matter who's playing for quarterback. At quarterback, I think they could still put up some good points.
Well, I mean, if Mark Sanchez was playing for Dallas, I'd be all over it. But that's not the case.
That's true. I guess that's true. All right, so fade of the night, Ellie. You're another no. I get it. There's really no one I'm scared of. If I had to lean towards one player only, I like Madison. I think he's a good player, and I like his price tag. I just think he's going to be over-owned based on the amount of volume that he's going to get in this game. Unless something happens to Dalvin Cook, which absolutely could, he can end up in the tent within the first 3 plays. And then I'll look like an idiot. But bottom line is he's probably going to be 15 to 20% owned. And I think that 15 to 20% is just too high for him. I really do. As the backup, who's probably only going to get about 20% of the snaps. All right, so we're going to go over to Crown Their Ass for captain. This really doesn't change a whole lot based on Dak. If Dak plays, maybe I might have a little bit more of the wide receivers, but I don't think this changes a whole lot based on the news. Break it down. Oh, that's the wrong sound.
Now, if you want to crown them, then crown their ass.
Crowning their ass. I like Zeke. You like Cook. I think you interchange them. I think they're both great plays based on their price tag and their ceiling and the amount of volume we're going to see, especially if Cooper Rush starts, right?
Can you put a giant asterisk on the screen? Like, actually, that would probably just look like an asshole. So never mind. But so look, these are obvious. These are obvious. We understand this. If right now the only thing that I'm really just sitting and waiting on is this Amari Cooper ownership. He's projected less than 7% at captain. If that continues, I may scrap maybe 60% of my lineups and throw him at captain. The rest are going to be split between Zeke and Dalvin Cook. It's just too good of an opportunity. I think the San Jose Rush or whatever. God, man, I cannot remember his name.
Yeah, it's a weird name.
Anyways, Dallas's quarterback. I think I don't even remember where we're going to go with that, but it just gives a massive boost to the run games in both situations. Oh, that's right. And given his price tag, you may not need to get too crazy at a captain anyways, because you're going to be able to start both quarterbacks if you wanted to, even with one of these guys at captain.
Yeah.
So I think we'll see that a little bit more when we build here, but it's just too hard, man. These guys are both just studs, and it looks like Zeke's kind of been getting into a rhythm lately. So I'm going to have these two guys and then Amari Cooper.
Zeke either way is a good option because look, they're going to rely on him a little bit more with Cooper Rush at quarterback, but they're also going to open up the run game more with Dak at quarterback passing the ball. They're going to, either way, Zeke is going to get his. And look, don't forget about Dalvin Cook. We know Dalvin Cook can score 3 or 4 touchdowns in any game against any team. Mm-hmm. All right, so I'm not going to hit optimize here because the projections are based off of Dak. Let's just build. Let's just build here. Who do you want to start with? You want to start with Zeke?
Yeah, let's start with Zeke.
All right. Zeke at captain. Let's go ahead and jam in Cousins and Rush to start, and then we can pull Cousins if we want. This projection. This is just me guessing. I'm just trying to get him in my player pool with a projection. All right. So where do we go now? We've got Zeke and Cooper Rush. Do we want to grab one of these? Well, we got to go Dalvin, right? I mean, let's just see. We'll see if we can do it.
And what do we have left?
$5K a pop. So what we could do?
How much is?
Well, we could get
Thielen.
Thielen is 8,400. So that leaves us with 1,600. And Alexander Madison is there. I don't hate it, but like I said, this is why I think he's going to be a little bit higher owned because he fits into a lot of these lineups. Noah Brown's 1K, D.D. Westbrook is 800, and Chris Herndon is 600. So you can go with any of those guys. I don't hate it. I think you rotate it out. I don't hate it at all. When I'm building tonight, I'm gonna do this, save that lineup. I'm gonna do this, save that. I'm gonna have like 5 or 6 variations on this. Let's see if we can actually get. Can we get? Let's go with Amari. Let's go down to Amari Cooper here, and 3,000 left. Does that put us in no man's land? It puts us in the defense, or we have to go down to Blake Jarwin at 2K. I don't hate it, but we're leaving 1,000 on the table. I don't hate that either, but let's see. Can we go up to? We can't get Justin Jefferson in this setup. Can we get?
Well, hold on.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Let's get rid of Kirk Cousins. I think we're fine if we have Dalvin Cook, and let's throw in Justin Jefferson.
Okay.
Now what are we at?
5,400 a pop. So you could still we got 2 spots. So we could still go Amari Cooper.
Yeah, and then that should leave
3,800. That gets us Greg. That gets us the kickers.
I don't mind Greg Leg in a lineup like this.
Yeah. Or you go with Minnesota, whatever. I know it's Minnesota, but it is what it is. You could do this. If you wanted to get crazy, you could go CeeDee Lamb. That leaves you 1,000, and then you get Noah Brown, or you get D.D. Westbrook if he plays, or you get Herndon or C.J. Ham or something like that. If you wanted to go more of a star scrubs. All right. So any other variations on this? What if we wanted to lay off of Dalvin Cook and prioritize the pass game here? Can we go?
So
Cousins and Thielen.
Let's get rid of Charlie Batch.
Okay.
Throw in Cousins and Thielen.
Okay.
Throw in Tony Pollard.
Okay.
What does that leave us with?
1,600, right back in that same zone. So Madison, D.D. Westbrook, okay. Obviously, make sure he's playing. He's questionable. Or Herndon, any of these guys. There's just a lot of...
Well, what if we come off of Tommy Pollard or Tommy Polly? And if anybody doesn't get that reference, that's a throwback to like the 2001 Rams defense. So just don't worry about it.
That's deep.
Yeah.
What do you want to go with?
Okay, so we got Zeke, Justin Jefferson. Let's throw in one of the tight ends for Minnesota.
Okay, let's go with not KJ Osborne, but Tyler Conklin at 4,400. That leaves us 2,600. That gets us Blake Jarwin, Vikings defense, Alexander Madison. It's all kind of around the same there.
I don't hate. Well, here, let's go down to Herndon instead of Conklin then.
Okay.
I mean, I think it's just going to give us the opposite. Now we need to figure it out for the
6,400
Dallas side.
So that gets us Cooper Kupp, gets us Cooper Rush, which is amazing. The fact that you can, as an afterthought, throw in your quarterback.
Yeah, I agree.
I like
this.
mean, this is a 2-4. I don't hate it.
So what if here's another thing. Let's just do this real quick. So go from Justin Jefferson to CeeDee Lamb.
Okay. Leaves us 600.
Take Cooper Rush to Dalton Schultz.
Okay. Yeah, look at that.
You got Zeke, CD, Rush. Yeah, this isn't terrible, man. I don't hate this. And you're fading one of the quarterbacks. Now, again, I'm only fading, Charlie Rush, whatever his name is, if he's super chalk. But even then, like, it's up in the air. So I don't know if this is going to be necessary. Oh, yeah, he's still down there, right? Like, yeah, I don't know.
I think
that he's a good spot.
Cooper Rush is a free square. All right, let's go Dalvin, and then we'll go with one of the wide receivers, I think. So Dalvin,
Cooper, Amari Cooper.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So Dalvin, let's put both quarterbacks in just to start, and we can jump off. I think you got to go Zeke, and you got to go. Can we go? No, we can't go CD. We can go Thielen or Cooper. Probably want to go Cooper. I mean, we can do either of them. We can do Thielen or Cooper, but let's start with Thielen. That leaves us with 1,500. So we're right back in that same spot. Alexander Madison, Noah Brown. This is why I think Alexander Madison is going to be over-owned. Let's go. Hang on. Let's go to Amari Cooper. Let's see if that does anything for us. 2,900. Not really. So just Blake Jarwin.
Yeah, Blake Jarwin. Yeah, I mean that's not terrible.
So yeah, I mean I'll do both of these. I'll do Cooper and Jarwin. Cooper and Madison, that kind of thing. I'll just rotate some of these guys out. Do you want to pull Cousins since we have Cook at captain? All right. So
you knew I was going to say that.
Yeah. So do you want to put in CeeDee Lamb here, or what? No,
Cooper.
Amari Cooper. Okay. No, we already have Amari Cooper.
Oh, do we? Okay.
Yeah. So we got to get another one of these high-priced guys, high-priced wide receivers, and I don't want to have. I mean, we could go with Justin Jefferson, and he's gone. We'll get him back here. 1 second. Bear with me, guys. You there, bro?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Okay, yeah, there he is. All right, there we go. All right, so maybe Justin Jefferson at least was with 3,700. What does that get us? That gets us Greg Joseph, Cowboys defense. It's going to be all the same players in this last spot for the most part.
No, can we? So I'm sorry. What happened when we had? Can we do Thielen instead of Jefferson? I may have dropped right there.
Thielen instead of Jefferson, yes sir. Are you on the right? Do you have your right mic selected? Thielen over Jefferson, 5,300. That's a little bit better. That's KJ Osborne or Conklin.
I don't mind either of those. That's fine.
Yeah, either of them. There's a lot of options here. Now I know we haven't built anything with Dak because. Look, you get what to do. If Dak is in, you get what to do. It's not going to be super hard.
It's not that hard.
It's not going to be that hard. All right, last one here. let's just start this process. Last one. Let's go with Amari Cooper and see how that goes, and we'll get out of here. Definitely, I mean, we're going to want to have Cooper Rush. Let's start with Cousins. Let's see how this build goes. Can we go Cook and Zeke? We sure can. Damn, I like this. 4,100 remaining.
Jesus.
And that gets us Cedric Wilson. That gets us Greg the Leg, Joseph, all the way down to Blake Jarwin. That's a good. I like this as a tournament.
Well, and you can pivot anywhere off this. You can both
absolutely.
Running backs. You can go directly into the receivers, given that they're the most expensive players on both teams.
I'll pull Cousins and go to Jefferson. You know, or I'll probably keep Cooper Rush, Amari Cooper and Cooper Rush. That's confusing as hell. I'll keep Cooper Rush if I'm throwing a wide receiver at captain. That's just because he's just so cheap. There's no reason not to. But I love Amari Cooper at captain, man. I really do. I really do. I don't care who's the quarterback. I think he's still going to get some targets. There's just no way he's not. All right, so anything to leave us with here, Ellie? Talk to me about what do you think if Dak plays, what's the score?
If Dak plays, the score is like 34 to 27 Dallas. If he doesn't play, I think the score is more like, I don't know, 27-17 Minnesota. I have no idea, dude. I think that this is going to be a weird game tonight.
I really think that that the Cowboys are going to win either way. Doesn't matter if Dak is in or not. I think most likely Dak will be out. That's how I think it's going to go. There's no reason for them to play Dak in this game at all. Absolutely no reason. They're 5-1. There's no reason for them to go out of their way to lose their franchise quarterback and ruin their entire season. Just sit him. Just sit him down. There's no reason to. All right, guys. Thanks a lot. We will see you guys for Monday Night Football, and take it easy.